I was born in Kaduna. My father moved from Kano here to Kaduna and got settled there. We got educated between Kaduna and Zaria. I was born 1932. After my education, I started work with the Nigerian Museum in Jos. I was transferred to Ile-Ife and then to Lagos in 1953. I came back to Jos and eventually left the Nigerian Museum and joined what was then Barclays Bank. After serving some 5, 6 years, maybe up to 7 years with Barclays Bank, which is now called Union Bank, I joined the Northern Region Civil Service. We were trained as the first batch of tax inspectors or tax administrators. But that was in Jos. There was a school specially made for it at Jos, and it was operated by Her Majesty's Inspectors of Taxes from England. We got trained there, then got posted. Some of us to Kaduna headquarters, some of us to Kano here. I was posted to Kano, and we've been doing the tax administration up till the time the states were created. And I was transferred back to Kano because my father comes from Kano here. That was the 1967 deployment. Now, eventually, I retired, but I rose to the rank of the Commissioner of Revenue. Eventually, I was elevated to the rank of Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance. I was transferred to Ministry of Commerce, where I retired in 1985 as Permanent Secretary. I had a technical training of building and woodwork. So on my retirement, I went into building, estate development, which is what I'm still doing. Well, we had this taxation system long before the colonialists came in that was being administered by the emirs and their assistants. We had been imposing and collecting tax in this part of the country, probably even throughout the country. But on arrival of the Europeans, the system actually continued in what they were then calling indirect system of administration. They were using the emirs and the chiefs to rule. And eventually, around 1962, after some training conducted overseas, the personal income tax was introduced. Before the personal income tax law of the regions, there were then 3, eventually 4 regions when the Midwest came in. Each region had its own personal tax law that came up from the Income Tax Management Act. Well, I don't think the colonial authorities or even the native authorities would have had much to do with zakat. It is being administered purely on individual basis at that time. I don't think the emir can impose zakat. In fact, you don't impose zakat. It is you as an individual who will calculate or ask any of our learned men to calculate what zakat is due from you. It's a sort of tax in a very crude manner, really. Like now, if we come to assess your income tax, we'll find out your gross sales, then we deduct your gross purchases, and then we come to what is called gross profit, then the revenue expenses. That will take us down to your net profit. From even your profit, the income tax will give you some personal allowances, as they call it. But in the zakat is in so many shapes, really. You have the system for farm produce, and the farm produce is of different categories. There's one you irrigate. There's one that is fed by the rainwater only. These differ. There is the one of your trading stock, which will calculate to see how you started, what value you had of your things, and what you have added and what you have sold. Then you see the balance. If there's any profit, there's a rate, you pay zakat on that. I don't think, in fact, I doubt if the native administration at that time had interfered. But you as an individual, you can ask any malam to work out, any learned person to work out what your zakat would be for that year.
What I want to actually understand is that the proceeds from the zakat that was collected, from the citizens, especially the Muslims who pay it, having agreed or having gotten to the point of payment, was it collected by the emirs or the chiefs, or was it
no?
Do they have a particular place where it is deposited, the proceeds?
No, only in taxation, the emirs and the chiefs and the native administration system had a hand in it, as far as I know. But zakat, it has its own rules, is a fully organized system, fully organized by itself. It is not to everybody you give zakat. There are 5 categories of people you give zakat. 5 categories. People in need, of course, travelers. There are special categories to whom you give zakat. You give, not you pay to any authority. Of course, currently we are trying to establish, in fact, it has been established, a collection center for zakat in Kano here. I don't know of other states, but in Kano we have a collection center which you as an individual will go and pay. They can help you to work it out, or you can say, this is what I am paying. They will just collect and thank you for it. Now, in turn, what they do nowadays is to seek the needy, widowers sometimes, people in need. They will fish them out. They will go to some local mosques, the imams there. They will give a portion of what they have collected as the authority on zakat. They will share it to the people. But what they shared has no relevance actually to what they may collect. It doesn't say this mosque will get so much, that mosque will get so much, or that mosque will get so much. No. But they have a system now, unlike before, of central collection and distribution in Kano. Beit al-Mal was operated by the native administration. When the Europeans came, it established the treasury, government treasury. Even the NA, the native administration or the native authority treasury, everything collected. The NA did not collect zakat, but it collected taxes and cattle tax. We call it in Hausa jangali, which is paid by the jangali comes from the animal farming. If you have cows or sheep or goats, the assessor, that is probably the ward head or the village head, there's a collector anyway. There's a collector. They all operate under what was called Sarki Shamu. He is in charge of like a veterinary chief. He is the one to assess and collect and pay into the native authority treasury. Yes. The money, well, anything collected is for public service. It's for public service. They pay salaries. Then from that, they pay, development from that. Yes.
So essentially, the zakat has nothing to do with the Beit al-Mal system.
Certainly not to my knowledge. It cannot have. It cannot have. It is always on individual basis. It's between you and your God. Yes. Up to now.
So proceeds of zakat is essentially being given to the needy by the person who collects.
Yes.
It's just the effort of Kano State government recently that they have established the zakat commission.
Yes.
Where you can now come in and say this is.
It's not the government that established the zakat commission.
Okay.
Yes, it's it's the NGO.
It's an NGO.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Non-government organization. Some of our friends gathered the elderly people say this is what we should do, so that because some people are so rich that they have no time to go and be distributing their zakat. So it is made easy for them to go directly to the zakat house. The zakat house is there on Kano way. You pay, they'll give you a receipt for it. It's a very well established organization. Yeah, it has been functioning for more than a decade now. But it has nothing to do with the government. I wouldn't do that. I don't think it can even. I don't think it's capable of doing that because it will have too much in its hands. Yes. There was a time I was in the Ministry of Commerce, and one industrialist was complaining that he hadn't got import license for the second or third year running. I was surprised. So I approached my government here and advised that it is certainly not right for somebody sitting in Lagos and deciding what a Sokoto man or a Sokoto industrialist or a Maiduguri industrialist or a Port Harcourt industrialist will need for his import. So I suggested the decentralization of issuance of import license. It was eventually implemented because it is just the fair thing to do. We in Kano here, we know what the need of any industrialist will be, or the need of any importer will be. But the man in Lagos does not even know probably where Kano is, let alone its industrialists. It's better to decentralize, allow local governments, states, to collect what is collectible, what can be collectible by them. Of course, the federal government, it has an office here in Kano, Federal Inland Revenue at Club Road. It can staff it to handle all things. But what can stop the state government operating it like we are doing now? We are doing the personal income tax on behalf of the federal government. And if you say you are going to choke up the federal government with all these things, I don't think it will be efficient. I don't think so. Well, taxation is a very difficult subject, and tax officials are not normally being welcomed, because, well, one pays tax because he has to pay tax. One pays tax because he has to pay tax. And actually, if the people would be encouraged, you know, in so many ways, if they can be encouraged to build industries, to trade, travel, buy and sell things, there will be enough wealth circulating so that the ordinary man can pay tax and the taxman will feel needed. But now, tax is very difficult. We are still hoping the system will sort of pick up.
Yes, certainly.
To meet the government needs. We are so much relying on petrol now because there isn't much going around. There isn't much. Business is very low, and you tax on profit, essentially, isn't it? Well, people are struggling to eat. No one can, well, I don't know, but it's very difficult for any man, unless you press him to show his true profit. It's very difficult because he hasn't, basically. Well, we had a very good record of tax compliance. We had a very, there was a time I had a query, and I replied that I have never had any taxpayer taking me to an appeal.
Was there any appeal system?
There was. Oh, there was. You can object. Okay. If you don't agree with the commissioner.
To who?
You first object to the commissioner.
Okay.
If you don't agree, you appeal to the appellate authorities. We have 2 appeal committees. Yes, we have 2. Well, I don't know now, but we had 2. There is a local one, and if you don't agree, there is a provincial one. Yes, there are 2 stages of appeal. There are. Or maybe 3, because the first one we call objection. If you are not satisfied,
yeah, you raise a valid objection.
Yeah, you object to say you included this income. I did not. That's not my business. Or the profit you have charged me is high, or you have not given me sufficient allowances. Now, if there is a settlement, he pays. If there is no settlement, he appeals. Now, at that stage of appeal, even the commissioner can appeal to the provincial appeal committee.
Supposing an appeal failed, what happens?
Well, there will be a settlement somehow.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we have in the personal income tax law here that even though you appeal, you have to pay the tax as assessed. Yeah. You can keep your eyes off it, but that's the law. You have to consider the three things in this taxation. One of them is the ability to pay. Yeah. Now, if your salary is say 50,000 or 500,000 naira a year, you pay under pay as you earn. Maybe you are paying 1 or 2,000, but at the end of the year, they discovered you have not been paying the pay as you earn. They sent you a bill of say 100,000 naira. Can you afford to pay? How much is your salary per month?
No, certainly the economic.
So in this one you are asking, one has to consider the ability of the taxpayer to pay. You have to consider it. He might have earned the money, yes, but you be practical. The compliance was very high. The native authority system, we used to call it community tax. It is in our law called community tax. But, well, there's the personal income tax, but the community tax being administered then by the native authority had a very efficient machinery. Is not the collection as such that is efficient, but you see, is the native authority then was headed by the emir. He was the head. So he will go around and give the assessment to each community or town, or to he visits the what is still known as the district. He will say this district will pay so much, that district will pay so much. Now, what the district heads used to do is immediately the emir announced the amount, he will pay to the treasury direct that time. Then he will ask his village heads to collect gradually. That is why people saw it as efficient. But it's not the machinery that is efficient.
Just to take you a little back, now when those payments are being made, what was the process essentially made use for? The utilization, you know, because I asked that same question, he said it was meant for salary. And this is an advance payment being made as soon as the emir makes pronouncements.
No, it's not advance, it's for the year.
For the year.
Yes, for the year. It's, you don't assess anybody until the what they call year of assessment begins.
Yes. Yes. So what do you essentially, what is it?
It's for salaries and developments. I told you that.
That was the essential thing that it was doing.
Well, yes.
And then the administration of taxation itself.
The native administration system of taxation, as I said, is headed by the emir. He still has the district heads assisting in that. They are the machineries. The district heads have the village heads. The village heads have the ward heads. Yes, I think by that time the man in charge directly of tax collection is a district head they call Sa'i. 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 Up to now we have Sa'i in Kano here. He is the man in charge of tax collection. He collects, he pays to the treasury. From that, salaries are paid and other projects. Build schools, buy books for the children. Yeah, because by my time we had free education, free. You get uniform free, you get boarding free, you get the education itself free.
What form of punitive actions was there for the defaulters?
Oh, it was really very horrible. That's why it became necessary to abolish it. It was really horrible. Because if a man is unable to pay his community tax, it may force him to leave his family and the town and run away. It was really horrible. Sometimes he goes through litigation anyway, if he is there, if he's around. That's why so many people have taken it upon themselves to leave the town, to run away. So when another administration came in, the governor here in the States, because it was abolished, I think, around 1980, decided to waive it off. And the government, right from the federal, decided to implement the same thing so that people can live in peace. After all, our governor by that time was prepared to pay the native authority whatever it is they were collecting from the public. It was about 5 million naira. 5 million naira then was a lot of money. Or pounds, I think. No, naira. Naira. I know we were advising particularly Kano Native Authority that handles more than 2 million pounds a year to employ a qualified accountant. Just 2 million pounds. That's 4 million naira, which anybody can can handle nowadays. Yes. Well, service nowadays is not.
Comments or advice you want to give to the people within this?
Well, I said it before. You see, things are not the same now as they were before. Yeah. We respected the system. But now it's almost completely different. Yeah. I used to speak to some men I left in the service, and they will always reply back that, you can't serve now, sir. You can't serve now. It's very different. We had rules and regulations. We had them. Now I don't know if it's being applied, if they're being applied. It's very disheartening, believe me, to hear of all these things. So we don't know what may happen later. In Hausa, or even in English, they say we need to retrace our steps. Believe me, honestly, we need to. We just can't go on like this. We can't. Very reckless. Yes, I use the word reckless.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for granting me this beautiful and precious time to share with us. And I think the viewers have enjoyed a lot and garnered from most experience.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.